All right, guys, good morning. It is August 29th of 2023. This month is almost over. I don't know how. We're already talking about Labor Day. Um, mm, yeah, like after today, we've got 2 more days of the month. Then we're into September. September, October, November, December. The last third of the year. Like, how are we already like 2/3 through the year? Like, I literally still remember getting rained on New Year's Eve at Crossed Festival, you know, rocking out, and then, like a couple minutes, like 20 minutes after midnight, or after the last song, after midnight, they turn the lights on and that's the end of it. They're like lights on, music off, and they surely kicked us out. But I don't even know, guys. Like, what do you even say? Like, I feel like almost everyone I talk to is kind of saying the same thing. Like, I don't know where the time is going. Um, I mean, I've definitely been productive. Like, it's a little scattered productive. I have a little bit of a hard time focusing. I mean, I think what gets me is that I do have so many things I want to do because I'm like, okay, do all the stuff that I can never do when I'm like working all the time. And so that's most of it. It's like it's almost like when you finally, well, it's not the same as when you like before when I used to have PTO from work, right? I would take the day off, or however many days off I would have. Like I didn't take I think I remember taking like about 2 weeks off once ever. Well, I did it twice. So I would say my first practicum I took 2 weeks off, and then they kind of chewed me out for it because they're like, well, you guys were already having trouble getting clients, and your school needs you to be having like however many hours of client care time. And because it was a slow site, they were kind of like putting it back on us to be like, oh, like, you should, be with clients like in milieu. So like when the clients were in the kitchen, like cooking their meals, or like, on the computers doing their job searches, or had questions about things, we could just be interacting instead of waiting for like individual or group therapy. They're like, well, if you don't have paperwork and aren't in meetings and don't have clients, or if your clients no show, there's clients that are usually here because they had to rack up hours either volunteering or being on site doing something for their job search to be part of the program. And so, there would be things like that where, I had to find ways to just like interact with them. And then at another job, like yeah, like basically that job I took PTO, and they weren't happy about that, even though they approved my time off. But afterwards they were like, well, maybe you shouldn't have taken the time off, and I'm just like, well, I didn't know that that was like something that was an issue we were supposed to figure out. Like, these schools let students these sites these schools let students go to certain sites because they're under the assumption that those sites are going to be able to provide the amount of hours that the students need. They shouldn't be at risk of like having to redo it or like fail their you know term because the site just doesn't have that many clients, and nobody thought to check how many hours can three of us get or four of us get. Like if there was one interning student, that would have been fine, but it's like because there were like three or four of us, it's like we're trying to split a very minimal caseload. And then we had other case managers that were there that were like giving us some of their clients and like trying to help us out and stuff. I didn't really uh know what was I just didn't understand you know, it was there was no there were so many problems. Um, but yeah, I took 2 weeks off then, and then another time after probably after about 4 years of working at the site, at my next site. Um, maybe 4 years in, I took a 2 week break, but I would take off like a week here, like half a week here, a few days here, or like with a 3 day weekend, I take days off and stuff. And so, yeah, I would always, I think the first year I didn't take a break, and then there was a while where I didn't take a break. Because I remember specifically one of the uh, you know, I don't know what her label would be, but like one of the coordinators that was like above me, she was like one of the main people. She basically uh once, like she was in charge of assessments and assigning assessments, and like uh some of us would have to do assessments. We were like booked on certain days to do like the intakes. And so I had like, let's call it like Tuesdays and Thursdays I would do intakes. I don't really remember, but let's call it Tuesdays and Thursdays. And maybe there was a week where I was going to be out Monday through Thursday or something like that. And then she kind of took it to be like, why are you, don't you know that, you have to get it covered? And luckily, one of my friends was like, hey, can you cover for me? And I think we swapped a day or something. She kind of like overheard the whole situation and was like, yeah, because she did that to me. She kind of explained, like, yeah, she did that to me before and said I couldn't take days off, and that coordinator person, she was like, well, that like you should that you're not allowed to like take these days off without getting it covered. Like you should know that. And I'm like, actually, I don't know that because I haven't taken a day off in so long that it never came up. Like back when I was taking days off, that wasn't part of the protocol. Like you didn't have to get that approved because the calendar wasn't arranged so that we had certain people um on certain days. Like it wasn't so organized. Um, so I hadn't taken a day off in so long that like I didn't even know that that was like a thing. Because the last time I had taken any time off, that wasn't, there wasn't like a, oh, you have to get it approved if you're on the calendar for assessments. Like there was none of that. So like, yeah, I used to take days off, but not that much. Like the most days I took off was towards the end in my last 2 years. I think when I was pretty much done with that job, like once I had mentally been like, I'm done, and I knew that I was transitioning out, I was like, I am freaking using this, like I was like, I have all this time off. And I like probably every other week at that point, I was taking PTO. I was just like, I'm not gonna be here for like 2 days. I'm not gonna be here for 3 days. I'm not gonna be here for like one day. And I take like half days a lot of the time, and people like I remember my friends would be like you're taking another day off, but I was like I didn't really care. I was just like, I already had money saved, and I was like it's not worth my energy to be here all the time, and I would just take days off. So that's like it was approved. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't neglecting my work or anything. I was able to do the work fast, and then I was like, well, I shouldn't have to be here Thursday and Friday then because I already finished what I need to do. So once it started getting to that point, I was more incentivized, internally incentivized in that way to be like, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna do this, I'm just gonna take these days off. But yeah, like even when the reason I'm mentioning all of that is because even when I was taking days off with work, it was like just enough. Like you can imagine, like if you have a job where you're working overtime from home before work and then taking work home and working after work, it's like, and working on weekends from home and all this kind of stuff. Like it wasn't all the time, but it was like quite a few days a week, you'd be doing extra work. And so, and it was paid overtime, but it was so much, it was like, I was working more than a 40-hour work week. Some weeks were like 60 hours. Some weeks, I'd probably say I, I would usually work over 55 hours a week on a pretty regular, pretty like quite a few weeks out of the month. Um, but and not taking a lot of time off because there was already so much work. That's why we had to do overtime because we were already so much behind, and so you know, I'm used to being that busy, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, and then all the time, I've always had like other interests that were like, I don't have any ounce of anything to give to anything creative, because I'm too busy, dealing with other people's lives and all that other stress and chaos of all that kind of job. And so, I was just like, I was balancing it enough that like I was doing good at work, but it's like everything else I had to kind of put it on hold for quite a few years. So even going back into anything that's like technological, it's been a bit of a learning curve. It's like, oh, I had to like, you know, start using, Microsoft, yeah, not my, start using like Google Docs and like Google Sheets and some other like I use like CapCut. Like I'd never really used that before recently, and some CRM software like HubSpot, and you know, learning a lot about AI and some different apps and stuff, and just a lot of stuff. There's a lot to learn that I've kind of missed because I've been like floating around in the mental health world, working in that, and not really honing any other skills. Like I wasn't completely ignorant to it, but I wasn't like diving in like I usually do when I have longer breaks. And that was probably the longest time I've gone without like a longer break. Because if you guys think about it, like between my bachelor's program and grad school, between grad school and the other grad school, I had breaks, between community college and you know um you know, my bachelor's program, I had breaks like months at a time. Like I wouldn't say that I was not working or not taking classes, but it was definitely like there were times where the break was less. Um, it was less. I was still getting work done, but I was like either working for pay or taking a class or two. So I would still be busy, but it was like I'd still have a couple weeks off at either end, or like, the workload wasn't as much, It was like faster, so I had to, cram it in more, but it was not, I don't know, I don't feel like it was as time consuming to be taking like a full course load because they knew it was only like a few months during winter, a few months during summer, like it was just a couple months here or there. And so, that actually helped. I actually liked taking those classes, during those times. But like, I did take those kind of classes winter, summer, and I would, so, I had times where it was like, okay, like I have more free time. But I think the longest stretch I went was once I started working. I didn't really have those long stretches anymore of like months off or like, couple weeks here off and then a lighter workload for like a few weeks and then like another couple weeks off and then you go back into school. Like it wasn't like that. It was like I'm working all the time. I'm working before work. I'm working after work. I'm working my weekends. I'm taking days off work and taking work home during my time off and like stuff like that. So, and we would do like secret overtime too. So like sometimes in all honesty, we would maybe say, okay, I need 2 hours of overtime, but it took you 6.5 hours to get all that work done. And you're just like, well, I was approved for like 2 hours and I just wanted to get caught up so bad that it's like, I'd rather just spend this weekend doing all this nonsense that I don't feel like doing. But then they started getting way strict with us. We had to check out computers. They had to know how many hours we were spending and what we were gonna finish in those hours, instead of just being like, oh, 2 hours, and then next thing I'm done with like 18 client plans or something. It's like, if each of those takes 1 hour, how did you do all of those? Like, not, I'm exaggerating, but I don't think I've ever had 18 client plans. um, that would have been like, I don't know, we would get ghost time where you were supposed to not be bothered, And especially if it was a day where most of your clients no showed, or you could pre-plan it and just like not have anything on your calendar for a day, and then admin would still be like blowing up your phone calling you to do just one extra thing, just do this one walk in. And next thing you know, you're calling PERT and waiting 3 hours, and like next thing, then it's lunchtime, and then you have to take one phone call that ends up doing being another crisis intervention by phone, and then that takes another hour or two. Then you got to document all that stuff, and that takes up that's a good like 5 hours out of your 8 hour shift that you were supposed to be. It's like, oh, but you only took two clients today, but it's like, yeah, but it took over 5 hours out of my day. So like there would be days like that where we were supposed to be getting caught up for 1 or 2 days, like every so often, and then those days just never, they would fall through, and so we were never caught up. um but that's how I kind of landed here with needing to take this break. Like when I started realizing, I was like, man, my brain is so foggy. The job I had, I'm noticing too, the job I had, um that I stopped in at the end of last year, at the end of 2022, like right at the end, like right before New Year's Eve was my last day of work. Um, yeah, I basically, um, yeah, I basically ended, um, my time working, and, um, like, I found it to be a good decision. I was like, okay, like, I don't need to be like, you know, stuck at this place, like it's not really getting me where I need to be financially or anything. And I have other interests too. Like I was like at the very least, I want to kind of like develop some skills. So that's definitely what I've done over the years, or over the months. It feels like years. Um but over the months, and I think I've got myself in a pretty good position based on the applications I put in last night. I'm like, okay, like I kind of can more comfortably say like that I could interview at some of these places. Because that was definitely something that was kind of getting me before, where I was like, I don't know if I can interview. Like like when I talk to recruiters from like these mental health sites, it's easy. I'm just like I don't even prepare for them sometimes. Like I didn't even know I was interviewing. Like I talked to two recruiters one week, and I did not even know that I was actually interviewing. I thought that I was just talking to, you know, I don't know what I thought. Like I thought that I was just talking to like someone who wanted to just casually know about my work background. I didn't understand that like this is the first step of an interview. And so we talked, and it was comfortable, and I didn't really think much of it until the second one was like, okay, well, you've passed this phase of the interview, and if we're interested, we'll get more, we'll get in contact more, and we'll go on to these next steps. And I was just like, what the heck? Like, I didn't even know I was in an interview, you know? Like, I treated it well. Like, I answered the questions. I was, personable, friendly. I wasn't uptight, but I was noticing, I was like, man, like, it's so easy to talk about anything, like anything psychology. Like I don't even have to prepare. Like they can ask me what I did, I can explain it with ease. If they ask me what I understand or what I'm working on, I kind of can explain it with ease. Like uh too um I'm not too hung up on uh you know am I saying it right, or like can I explain this using the terminology and all that. It's like I did it for so many years. I don't really have to think about it even still. Like there is a lot that I've forgotten, like direct therapy skills, just because I haven't really done actual direct therapy in like almost 3 years now. But I could. I think I could. Um, but I don't really desire that. Like, it's not like the only time I've really done it, I would say, is on that app Seven Cups. Like, I'll be on there sometimes as a volunteer, but other than that, and it's just like text chatting. But other than that, I don't really um go on there. I mean, I don't really do like therapy. Like, I can't legally do it anyways. Um, and especially I can't do the type that I was doing before. But yeah, I'll see. Like, I'm kind of like um trying to just like see this kind of what happens, you know. Uh I'm at some next phases with stuff, but um I'm gonna pretty much continue today, pretty much what I was doing yesterday. But yeah, guys, I definitely I you know posted a lot of those old pod recordings yesterday. Oh, man, it took me till almost lunch. It took me hours. Like, it just took me hours. I'm like, what is going on? Like, after, well, I was doing other stuff, so it took me like a while to post that stuff, and then it took me a while to, make something. I made like a free like pamphlet for one of the pods, so I was kind of fiddling around with different different platforms, and then I just put it on a Medium blog because I was like, dude, like, I don't want it's free. Like, I didn't know that Etsy you can't post for absolute free. It has to be at least 20 cents, which I did not know. And then Pinterest, I don't really use Pinterest much. I'm starting, but I'm just like, it's a lot, So I was like, I think I did post it on there, but I'm just like, man, like, um it's just a lot. I was just like, this is just a lot. So that's kind of what I got up to yesterday in the daytime, and then I slowly kept running out of energy towards the afternoon. Um, but I got everything done probably closer to 2:30. Then I started cooking. So I made some salmon with some already pre-chopped veggies. That was for dinner or for lunch, but it was a late lunch. I ate around like almost 3 or something, 2:30 or 3 or something around there. And then for lunch I just had that's what I had for lunch. And then dinner, my mom got sandwiches, so I ended up just having one of the sandwiches because I was like, I don't want to make that much effort. So I'm probably just gonna, I ate half of it, so I'm probably just gonna put an egg on the other half, like oven toast it and put an egg on the other half, and then throw some of an avocado on there, and then call it a day. Um, I don't really want to do too much cooking today. I think that should be enough cooking. It's basically a turkey sandwich. It would be like a breakfast turkey sandwich. Um, I might make a little side of veggie bacon, but that's what I'm about to go do, and then I've got some other stuff to record, but otherwise I'm kind of just chilling. Like, I don't really plan on actually getting up to too much today other than this kind of stuff. Um Again, and I did like 25 or so job applications last night. That was just for the ones through Indeed, and then there are probably like 6 of them on the side that I have to go back into the main company website and submit it that way. Um, and then there's, as usual, the little tests, the skills tests, some of the videos or audio responses and stuff. So I'll get to that other stuff today and tomorrow, but put out more applications tonight. And I mean, it sounds like there's some interest. Like, I know some of it's automated responses, but it's like I'd rather get an automated response back than nothing, and just respond to that. But the problem is like I do feel kind of blindsided by it. It's like, okay, I thought the application was in and done, and now it's like, oh, now I gotta go and like put in an application again. It's like do some other part of the application. I don't think I put cover letters on most of those, so I might actually go back in and put cover letters. I don't know if that makes a difference, and it's like it just sounds like so much work for so little. Like it's like I don't know what makes the best impression, because I feel like these companies, they're really using AI to their advantage. Like they were already using, like some kind of screening system before that even. And now it's like I came across an application yesterday that asked, do you want to opt out, or I don't know if it was do you want to opt in or do you want to opt out to AI screening, this application. And I'm like, how many places aren't even asking if you want to opt out? You know what I mean? It's like it's too much. And then so, so yeah, I was just thinking about that, just kind of being like a little tired. Just mostly. That's mostly what I've got going on. I'm pretty tired. I woke up at like before 6 a.m. and my head was a little bit, I don't know what you call it, like it wasn't like a physical thing. It was just my mind was just kind of racing when I woke up this morning. I was like, "Whoa, where's this coming from?" And I thought I'd go back to sleep. Um I didn't know what time it was, but I could tell by, the flow of the traffic that it was a little bit close to 6. Like I knew it wasn't like, that early. Like I was like, I'm going to be getting up soon anyways. So I was up a little bit before 6, but trying to go back to sleep, but I don't actually think I did go back to sleep at all. Um but yeah, like it's just crazy, man. I'm like, it's so hot lately. And it's just tiring. It's draining. The heat is just draining. And I've been kind of having a couple cups of coffee lately, like one for noon and one for early morning, just to get that second spark up, and then, it's been helping me. I feel like it's helpful for me, but I don't know. Yeah, I really just don't know. I'm, yeah, I'm about to pop in the shower and, get on it with the cooking and stuff. It's been nice cooking more. My family kind of leaves me alone lately, so that's been really nice. But I don't know. I think I'm gonna be pretty tired today. I might feel better after I eat though, and I'm not that hydrated. So I don't know, but I've got a lot to do online today. I don't think I'm gonna do deliveries today. I was kind of wanting to, but I'm like, no, I don't really want to actually. Yesterday I thought I was gonna want to, but I really don't. I'm drinking water. Um, I've been trying to drink like 2 bottles of water before I kind of have breakfast and get going. It's kind of like a new little thing. Oh, it's just I feel like every day is going so fast. Like this, I noticed it this morning when I woke up. Like one of the thoughts that crossed my mind was like, "What time is it?" Like not like I think everybody thinks that kind of when they wake up, but I was kind of like I've lost track of like when the sun comes up, you know, because it's been setting earlier, and I noticed, it sets before 7:30, like 7:20 something, it's been setting, and that kind of caught me off guard. I was like, when did the sun start setting so early? And it's kind of seeping into that period of the year where it's like, oh, the sun sets a little earlier now. And then so yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know what I feel about that. And then, I think the sun comes up around 6:15, 6:18, something like that, but I notice it starts getting a little blue before like 6, and then the traffic is picked up a little bit, probably around 5 a.m. or so. And I think that's what kind of catches me because, I sleep with my window shades kind of open a lot because, like, this time of year, I like the moonlight. Like, I always like the moonlight, but it's like it's not cloudy at night lately. And so you can definitely see the moonlight often. And I kind of like the moonlight in my windows. And so I kind of just keep the blinds up for that reason. I'm not really one of those people that like cares if people are looking at my windows. Like, I'm not, my windows are kind of angled, so I'm never like sitting like directly in front of my window. So unless I'm like walking past it, nobody's really gonna see me, or unless they're walking past my window. And that's just one other thing that happens because we have a family friend that has the key to our back gate, and so every so often he comes through. Like, I know he's not in town till September, so that's why I don't mind leaving my window open and blinds open. But he comes and gets like vegetables every so often, just randomly. Like, I've noticed it's mostly on Tuesdays, but one day I was here doing it, like working on one of the surveys after viewing one of those apartments, and it was like probably, let's call it like 2 p.m. or something, and he came in and he was like in the yard. I saw him walk through the back of the yard. He was returning the car that he borrows. Um and so he was returning it because he was going to be out of town. So he doesn't usually come weird times like that, but I was like, dude, like, it's stuff like that where it's like he lets himself in and that's fine. He's allowed to, but it's like, I'm sitting here with my window open, you know what I mean? It's like, and it's hot, like when it's hot, it's kind of clothing optional for me. Like, I'm like, I don't really care. Like, I'm indoors, I'm not like walking around outside without my clothes on, but I mean, it's one of those things and I'm like, yeah, I don't want any weird, awkward situations, but you know, what are you gonna do? If it happens, it happens. That's the risk you take. If you have your windows open, the risk you take is that people are gonna see through your windows. Like, that's just how it is. But sometimes it's just so hot. I'm like, I like the windows open, the blinds open, and my fan on so I can like get some kind of cross breeze. And I have another window that I don't really like to open. I put a blackout curtain kind of draped across the front of it, and so it's not like solidly on there. I could take it off, but I'm not gonna keep taking it off and putting it back on. But it's there because our house is like in this L shape, so that other window, it has a view of the backyard, and with the view of the backyard comes those security lights, those motion sensor lights. And so sometimes if there's animals back there, or if someone just forgets to turn off the indoor switch, you know, that light might stay on for a while. And there's other people in the house that are up later than me, so that light gets activated sometimes if they go and get something outside or whatever. So, I kind of don't open that window for a cross breeze. I used to, but I don't anymore. Now I have a fan. Um, cause yeah, before I didn't even have a fan all this time. So, but I don't know, guys. I'm gonna have a busy day today. Kind of getting a bit of a slow start, but I really do think once I eat, I'll be better. Cause I've been up since like before 6, and I haven't eaten anything yet, and it's like 8:35. So, all right, I'm gonna finish this water and then get some breakfast in me and get going. I'll see if I have some C4 a little later and hit the gym. I'm not too certain about that. I was thinking about going while the schools are in session because that's like the harder. I mean, when the schools start getting out, because that's one of the hotter parts of the day, and that would keep me at the gym. Um, because if I leave, the schools get out at 3, and there's traffic till at least 3:45. So if I got to the gym at like 2:55 or something, I'd probably stay till like 3:50 till like 3:55 or so. So I might try to break up my day with the gym today. Uh, an hour workout sounds excessive for the amount of tired that I am right now, but I mean, I just might do it just because I could use a good workout. C4 is maybe not the best choice, but I've kind of been, my friend gave me these really strong edibles, and in all honesty, they've really been helping, like with sleep. Like they're really strong. Indica Delta 8, like they're just really strong. Um, and I have like a whole container of them. So instead of getting more melatonin, I've just been having those at night, and I just feel like I sleep better. Like I'm not as groggy, and I sleep pretty much through the night. Just the issue really is kind of like trying to control the munchies, like trying to make sure that I'm not having the munchies, at the same time, because that is disruptive. Getting the munchies sucks. Mm. But all right, guys, I'm gonna get on with it. Uh, I want to be the only one in the kitchen this morning, so I'm kind of motivated to get over there. Uh, but yeah, today's supposed to be pretty productive. Uh, guess we're gonna see what happens. All right, thanks for listening.